The International Monetary Fund (IMF) projects 22% inflation rate for Nigeria in 2022. Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN) disbursement to farmers under Anchor Borrowers Program hits 1.01 trillion naira in May 2022. Ghana, Uganda ban food exports, plus oil prices jump after EU leaders agree to ban most Russian crude imports. Details of these and more shall be our focus on Business Express this morning on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority, the NTA. We're reaching you from Abuja, the nation's capital. And I am Leakating Baba today. You're welcome. Cried the 76% debt service to revenue ratio of Nigeria as at 2021, expressing concern that it might rise to almost 100% by the year 2026. Also, the fund acknowledged that although the public debt is still at a moderate level, the critical aspect is the revenue servicing side, which is projected to rise astronomically if urgent measures are not put in place to grow revenue. This was disclosed by Ari Aisen, International Monetary Fund resident representative for Nigeria in Abuja, at the public presentation of the Spring 2022 issue of the Regional Economic Outlook for Sub-Saharan Africa. He advised the federal government to grow its revenue ratio to GDP to at least 15% by 2025 to enable it to embark on more social spending that will better a lot of the vulnerable segments of the populace.
Happening, perhaps by the regular Nigerians trying to make their living despite the difficulties. And it's an informal social safety net in many ways. So I think I would pay attention to that, because that is a testament of the huge potential that if conditions improve, then a growth can be unleashed at much higher rates, and not necessarily led by the oil sector.
Our current reality is that we are already in deficit, territory, and so that's why for us the focus is on how to, grow revenues, how to, to show up revenues. When you're faced with a situation like this, ordinarily cutting expenditures will be one of your policy options.
It needs to have a rate that will allow those private sectors to mobilize or raise domestic resources to be able to finance more credit expansion within the economy. So looking at that two space, we need to, do that adjustment, given that
Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian Sovereign Investment Authority, the NSIA, Uche Orji, says the investment authority has no plan to redenominate its assets from the United States dollar into other reserve currencies. There had been speculations that NSIA could consider moving away from the dollar amid the current global dynamics occasioned by the Russia-Ukraine crisis, which appeared to have threatened the age-long dominance of the greenback. However, Orji said he did not foresee an end to the dollar prominence, adding that the greenback has often been the preferred haven for assets in turbulent times. He added that many currencies seemed to have underperformed the dollar whenever there was a crisis, as it remained the currency of safety for most people. In terms of moving Nigeria's investments away from the dollar, he noted that there is still a long way from any other world reserve currency. And so how much is the Naira exchanging for the currencies? Let's find out. Recently, a committee was inaugurated by the National Insurance Commission to coordinate the industry's strategic response to the African Continental Free Trade Area, the AfCFTA. On the program today, we shall be taking a look at how the Nigerian insurance industry will benefit from the AfCFTA. And to do justice to that is an insurance expert, Ekerete Olagamikon, who joins us via telephone here in Abuja. Ms. Ekerete, good morning and welcome to Business Express. Can you
Thank
hear
you
me?
very much.
Okay, great. How is the weather treating you after the rains?
The rain is always good to have.
Okay,
Yeah.
fantastic. So let me start by asking this a very particular question. The Nigerian Insurance Commission, NICAM, actually just last week said it would coordinate and articulate the Nigerian insurance industry's response to the AfCFTA agreement and its implementation. So if you can bring it down to the terms of every Nigerian out there, what does this mean?
Okay, so thank you very much. Good question, and congratulations to the National Insurance Commission for being at this point in terms of the overall agenda of the AFTA. And so insurance is understood as a very important factor in trade, which is basically saying as you move your things from one point to the other, you face different risks. And the only proven risk management tool so far that addresses those issues that you would have or may have is insurance, because it takes care of your life as a person. If you're not there, your business will suffer. It takes care of your investment. It takes care of your transactions with other people. And so it's very important that at this point, insurance has been brought to the point where it's almost like insurance has to be there before other things happen, if I may put it that way. So that when people know that insurance is there, they go out there to do their business with a lot more confidence, with, like we always say, peace of mind, knowing that if something goes wrong, somebody is there to take care of you. So what has happened is that in the course of the last 18 months, a lot of work has been going on between the National Action Committee of AFTA in Nigeria and the insurance sector. And so what you are seeing now is just a response from the insurance sector saying we have to take a position. Because, as you may know, we are talking about trans-border transactions here. So if you want someone to trust the fact that your goods will get across to the other end, it's not just by word of mouth, it's to also provide that guarantee.
Okay, I was actually meaning to ask you how this whole implementation process will ensure that the benefits of the AFCFTA are fully exploited by the Nigerian insurance industry?
Great, and that's exactly where I was going. Because we have insurance as an international business, it has always been an international business. You've got international companies that are doing business across borders, and so the issue of guarantee has always been a critical issue. Yes, other financial instruments will be available in terms of guarantee, but insurance guarantee comes not just cheaper, but almost more certain than others. And so what you have is that an insurance company in Nigeria has the opportunity now to follow its customer to another country in Africa. That means it's expanding its operations. That's one. And there are other insurance companies in Nigeria that already have presence in other African countries. They are going to have full advantage of this. And it's also going to challenge a lot of things that we've been doing in our insurance business. Because every country has got its own insurance laws. And then part of what AXA will do is to reconcile them and bring them to the point where you can do business in a similar manner. So a lot of what we are going to see will be improvement in the knowledge of the business, will be improvement in our practice of insurance, and will also be, a lot of cost reduction in the business itself. There have been a lot of issues regarding fraudulent activities of people across borders. This will enable us to minimize those kind of issues, because with insurance, you can almost be certain that when something happens at the other end, you can check at this end and be sure that you are covered.
Okay,
so
if
what
we're
insurance companies
checking,
in Nigeria will do is to position for these opportunities.
okay, if we position ourselves for this opportunity, I mean, the Nigerian insurance industry, of course, you had started talking about my next question, but then when we're protecting the sector, when we're talking about protecting investors within that space, of course, we cannot totally isolate the AFCFTA from negative impact. But then, how do we insulate our system from the perceived negativities?
Great. So one of the things that we have always been challenged with in Nigeria has been the issue of what I would simply call fake operators of insurance. We haven't quite been able to, within Nigeria itself, put a fence around the insurance sector in a manner that anybody who wants to do insurance will go in a certain direction, and not what we have currently. Let me break it down. We have over 13 million registered vehicles in Nigeria, but only about 3 million are genuinely, insured. You can just imagine that. So what has gone wrong? What has gone wrong is that people have failed to follow the right procedure to get insurance. And so they have chosen to go through getting insurance from the fake operators. So when we haven't been able to do this at home, the challenge is going to be a lot more when we have to go into an arena that we are not in control of. So indeed, this is an area where we have to do a lot of work to secure the industry locally and ensure that what we are going to see internationally is well taken care of. And one of the ways of doing that really is to just make sure that the loopholes that we currently have are closed. And how to do that also, to bring it home, is to engage the different points where insurance is being, sold without authority, and ensure that people are enlightened to know that if you buy insurance from this angle and you don't buy from this angle, you are exposing yourself.
Okay. Talking about these issues you've just raised, I mean, 13 million registered vehicles, 3 million only having genuine registration. That's huge. We're talking about 10 million vehicles not genuinely insured in the country. And then you talk about interagency collaboration. Please, before I let you go, how do we make sense of this data that we have vehicles being regulated by some other agencies? Now, this is just one out of the so many issues, I believe, in the whole gamut of things, and they are not genuinely registered. What does it imply for interagency collaboration in the country, and how do we fix this?
Okay, so what it is, first of all, is that we are losing money. We are losing money because the sector is losing money, and it's not just the sector that is losing money. There are tax implications. There are, different points where we can describe revenue being lost. But having said that, the issue of how do we tackle it is an ongoing conversation that the National Insurance Commission as regulator has been having with the entire chain of government that would be responsible for this, the Justice Ministry and all of that. We are aware of this and have been trying to put something in place to ensure enforcement. But the interesting thing that hasn't quite been attended to, in my view, is the issue of information, dissemination of information. First of all, people need to know that there is a genuine way of getting this. People need to wake up every morning and be reminded. There are easier ways of communicating these days. People need to wake up every morning and be reminded that, hey, the car you are driving is or would likely not be genuinely insured. And so what the Nigerian Insurance Association had done on its platform, where you can go to, and that's www.askniid.org. It says just go there, put your car registration number, and it will tell you whether or not you have valid insurance. So what I expect is that every morning people should wake up and see this, website information where they can go to, put their information, and that's the beginning. And so you also make this available to other agencies who are responsible for this, who are registering these vehicles, and who are also working with these vehicles every day. Put it there, put it in people's faces, let people know.
Okay, so
you may not know, but if you know that your car insurance is not valid, you want to do something about it.
okay.
That's for me the easier way to start.
Okay, okay, Mr. Ikeriti, I believe this is going to be an ongoing conversation, of course, for a lot of us and the public out there. But I would like to thank you for spending this time with us, and this is where we end your segment on the program, and we're going to move on the final journey to complete automation of operations of the Nigeria Customs Service has begun with the signing of modernization project concession agreement in Abuja. The Comptroller General of the service, Hamid Ali, disclosed that Nigeria will earn $176 billion within the concessioning period. Kunle Adeyeye reports.
With the dotted lines signed, manual operations will soon become history at customs entry points. Customs is already elated with the benefits of the 20-year plan.
Human factor, which is one of our bane in the course of doing business, will now be removed. And doing that will not only enhance the process, but also sanitize the process. By the time we fully implement this project, minimum we will be making for this country will be about $176 billion.
For various partners involved in the agreement, Nigeria is displaying readiness for global trade, which will eventually ease export and simplify import matters.
ICRC, who is statutory charged with the responsibility, we keep on monitoring the program and ensure that both parties abide by the terms and conditions of the agreement.
We've put implementation process in place. We are setting up a small subcommittee consisting of Nigerian Customs Service, who are we, and we have the finance in place, which is very important.
We are committed to the project. We want to make sure that all deliverables that can be complete.
The Federal Executive Council gave approval for full automation of Nigeria Customs Service on September 2, 2020. The Comptroller General, however, allayed fears that the automation will slash the workforce, insisting that the service is in need of more hands.
Now surviving COVID-19 series is the story of a mobile bookshop owner, Emmanuel Abani, who, like other small entrepreneurs, braced for the worst when the pandemic got underway in 2020. In this chat with Nekauko, he reflects on the fears of those early days of the pandemic and the joy of making it to the other side.
Surviving COVID-19 series is brought to you in partnership with the Central Bank of Nigeria.
I'm a businessman. You can see I sell books. I deal on books. You can see this is a mobile bookshop. What motivates me to go into books is I like reading. So I just want maybe some Nigerians to know that reading is very, very important. The more you read, the more you get more knowledge. During COVID-19, the business was down because there was no movement and people were not coming out to, because you can't even move to even say you want to go and market the books. Like now, I'm somebody that normally based in conferences. All this annual conference, you see us in conference center, you see us in Sheraton. During that COVID, there was nothing like conference. You know, the conference, people will come from different states, and then when they come around, they will see the books like this. I like this book. They would like to buy for friends. So before this COVID now began to bring what they call, how do they put it? They will can virtual. So people are not coming out for conference like before. They will say, okay, they will just use video to make their conferences. But during before, people will come all the way from the whole 36 states for one particular conference. But this COVID now made them to introduce that video conferences. So it's a little how it's affecting us now. People are not turning up for the conference than before. It's good to work and make savings and plan for future. During COVID-19, like I have a borehole at home. During that COVID-19, everybody was at home. What normally moved then was chemist store, food, and water. So during that COVID-19, I was come and sweep out my compound. I would sit down. I would be selling my borehole. That borehole was something that sustained me. That was the investment I made through this business. During that CBS Survive Fund, I didn't apply. And if I should have that opportunity to go for a loan from government, staying here is temporary. Just say this one is temporary. I would like to rent a shop. You understand? Make it bigger.
Surviving COVID-19 series is brought to you in partnership with the Central Bank of
And it was a negative start on the Nigerian stock market as the NGX whole share index depreciated this Monday by 0.58% to open this morning at 53,772.14 index points. Market capitalization dropped to 28.9 trillion naira from 29.1 trillion naira in the previous session. 27.5 million shares were traded by investors yesterday in 4,586 deals valued at 194.35 billion naira. Union Bank Nigeria PLC, Transco and Access Holdings PLC were the most traded stocks at the end of the session. And this morning, Asia Pacific stocks were mixed in early trade. Details with Boss Day Abel.
In Asia are mixed in Tuesday trade as investors watch for market reaction for the release of official Chinese factory activity data for May. Japan's Nikkei index depreciated 0.33%. The Shanghai Composite in mainland China advanced 1.17%. Hong Kong's Hang Seng index climbed 1.08%. In the US, the S&P 500 futures rose on Monday night as Wall Street tried to build on last week's momentum. However, this morning, the Dow Jones Industrial Average Futures lost 36 points or 0.2%. S&P 500 also lost, while Nasdaq 100 futures climbed 0.02%. The US stock market didn't open Monday due to the Memorial Day holiday. European stocks were slightly lower on Tuesday after a hot German inflation reading reignited concerns about the pace of monetary tightening from central banks. The pan-European stock 600 slipped in early trade, with tech stocks dropping while oil and gas stocks climbed. UK's FTSE advanced 0.19%. Markets in Africa have just opened and are yet to post numbers except for South Africa's JSA Africa Top 40, which posted minus 0.47%. Boss said they're able. Business Express.
And of course, that ends this particular edition of the program. Business Express returns midweek at 3 p.m. My name is Leah Katung-Babatunde, thanking you for spending time with us this morning. And of course, do have a blessed day ahead.